So here are some hip and glute activation exercises that you can do either beforehand or after runs. And the purpose of these is kind of multiple fold. Like our hips and glutes as runners, a lot of times those are particularly underused. And so by doing some of these things beforehand, it sort of gets those muscles fired and ready. And then once you go for a run, they're more likely to actually be engaged and kind of build that connection between your brain and the running process and those muscles. And so we definitely recommend doing some of these beforehand, but then they can also be used just as part of your weekly strength program, where maybe you only have 15 minutes to spare and you can't make it into the gym or something. And so doing some of these, even just for a few minutes, multiple times a week, can actually go a long way in terms of building that hip strength and glute strength. The first one is simple air squat and lunge. Try to keep your feet about shoulder width apart and toes pointed forward. And I always you don't know what to do with your hands. I put mine like just in front of me, and you're just gonna squat down, but you wanna make sure and keep a vertical torso, and you wanna really flex at the hips. You don't wanna be kind of, bending over more this way. And just really one fluid movement, your knees and your hips all bending together. And the deeper you can go, the better. Make sure you can actually feel it and you're using your glutes in this too, and not like, it's easy to use your quads as sort of the driving muscle, but if you're doing it right, you should feel it back here. Then lunges, I just do a simple one in front of the other. Kind of the same thing where you're just trying to keep a nice 90-degree angle from both legs or close to it. You can also go backwards. So next we have lateral walks or lateral band walks. And obviously don't have a band here, but what you're gonna do is you can imagine you might have a stretchy band around your ankles, but you also don't have to do it with one. You're gonna get in like a half squat here, and you're just gonna sidestep. And again, you want to keep your core tight. You want to really feel this in your glutes, and obviously you want to go both ways. And depending on the stretchiness of your band, you may not be able to take as big of steps, and that's totally okay. But adding some different resistance will help as you get better and kind of increment your progress. So clamshells or clams, that's just straight hip work. Just lay on your side, make sure your one leg is really on top of one another. You don't want it skewed like this or anything. And you also want your torso to be straight, but it's literally just lifting the leg. And again, really try and squeeze the glute when you're doing that. It's easy to just kind of not think about it and go through the motions, but otherwise, if you do that, you're not gonna get the real benefit. Then we have bridges, which again is glute strength. So you'll lay on your back, really try to keep the core tight in this, and you're gonna just bridge up until your body and your quads are all at a straight line. And you should really do this by tightening your glute muscles. If just holding this for 30 seconds or 60 seconds is not very challenging, then you can do it. You can make it more difficult by extending a leg out and doing single leg bridge. Typically holding that for 30 seconds or 60 is pretty. Other ones for glute and hip is fire hydrants and donkey kicks. And so you're just gonna get on all fours. For the donkey kicks, you're just gonna kind of kick backwards and up. Really focus on the up more so than the out, because when you do that, that's when you're really gonna feel it in your glutes there. And so try to keep it as straight back as you can as well, and not kind of awkwardly angled that way. Then fire hydrants is kind of the same concept, but you go out to the side. And all of these still, you're trying to keep your core really tight, just to keep it from being sloppy. If you want, you can add more of a kick to it. But what you're trying to do there is you should feel it kind of more in the sides of your hips.